We are talking about the breaking news that Jim Jordan has called Jack Smith to testify. Will, this is what's happening right now.
Last night, a letter was sent from the Judiciary Committee signed by the chairman, Jim Jordan, to the Special Counsel Jack Smith, former Special Counsel, I should clarify. And it's talking about the investigation they are doing, their oversight investigation into how the Biden-Harris Justice Department weaponized federal law enforcement. But this follows the Judiciary Committee's oversight looking into how both the Special Counsel, the Department of Justice, the FBI were all weaponized against conservatives during the previous administration. And they have already spoken with multiple members of Jack Smith's team who were not willing to cooperate. Now, this is coming on the heels of Jack Smith giving interviews with people like Andrew Weissman saying that, how you protect from show trials and how you protect from kangaroo courts and things of that nature are by transparency. However, members of his own team are pleading the Fifth Amendment over 75 times in some cases when asked about things like, were other members of Congress swept up in this? How many members of Congress are there records on? And those individuals are pleading the Fifth before Jim Jordan's committee. Now, what Jim Jordan is asking for here is a transcribed interview. This isn't going to be the 15 minutes of fame, Democrats and Republicans before a committee in a hearing room televised on C-SPAN.
Can we not get both?
We probably
Just
end
for
up
the
will.
fun of it.
Here's the thing. We probably will get there. But Jim Jordan is conducting a very serious investigation of oversight here. And so what he's offering right now to Jack Smith, even though Jack Smith has not responded to previous correspondence asking for records, is for all of the records under the time that he was special counsel, any correspondence he had with political appointees or career officials of the Biden-Harris administration, and all documents and communication you sent or received during your service as a special counsel. And then he's asked to also come in all those materials have to be by October 28th given to the committee, as well as calling the committee to schedule
a week and a half,
a transcribed interview. Now, this is not a deposition. It's a little more informal. There can be some negotiations. It's an olive branch saying, we want to get your testimony, but we're not bringing the full force of the committee yet. If he doesn't respond or if he balks at this, you can expect a subpoena and a deposition to follow. So we will see if Jack Smith, who is going and making interviews now, trying to cover up a little bit, if he really believes in the transparency that he's saying he believed in.
He is willing to do a press tour, willing to show up, do some interviews, talk to the press. And let's hear from the man himself, who really is a how dare you moment from Jack Smith to say there's any impropriety going on. Let's hear bite one.
The people on my special counsel team were like that. The idea that politics played a role in who worked on that case or who got chosen is ludicrous. And Andrew, and this is another thing that I think if you're not inside the U.S. Department of Justice, the idea that politics would play a role in big cases like this, it's absolutely ludicrous, and it's totally contrary to my experience as a prosecutor.
This is unfolding in London, very American place to be. But the interview is between Andrew Weissman and Jack Smith.
That name rings a bell.
That name, because Andrew Weissman was one of the top deputies to Bob Mueller under his special counsel investigation of President Trump. So the hilarity of
this is like
this,
me interviewing you, right, and acting like it's unbiased interview.
Exactly, like the hilarity of the first failed special counsel, which was a fraud on the American people because of the money it spent, the beginnings of it, how it was manufactured by the intelligence agencies to bring forward this Russia collusion hoax on the American people. One of the key members of that special counsel team is interviewing Jack Smith at the University College of London.
That idea that no one was above the law that they have been preaching for the 4 years leading up to the second Trump presidency, the chickens have come to roost.
That's right. And when you look at also other parts of it, he talks about transparency. That's how you avoid these political trials in our system. Well, here's the problem. This is from the final page 4 of the letter from Jim Jordan and the Judiciary Committee to Jack Smith. It says, over the course of our oversight, we have written you several times to request documents relating to your politicized investigation. You failed to respond. Now, we also know
Where you at, Jack?
that they have interviewed multiple members of his team, including Jay Bratt, J.P. Cooney, and Thomas Wyndham. And specifically, these individuals also didn't want to be transparent. They didn't want to come forward with, okay, here's what we got. They were invoking things, according to Jim Jordan, a broad and vague, unreasonable interpretation of grand jury secrecy protection, as well as invoking privileges, objections, including the Fifth Amendment, to refuse approximately 70 questions. So no transparency here. The Congress and the Judiciary Committee have that official oversight role. That is part of the separation of powers and the oversight given to Congress. When you have members of a special counsel team that don't want to answer, these seem very basic questions when they're looking at the investigation. They're just asking if there were any other records swept up in the legal process, not saying, did a grand jury compel this? The entire situation, and then you take the Fifth Amendment, your right to non-self-incrimination. Now, in a criminal trial, you can't take that as an inference of wrongdoing. In a civil case, you could be used against you. However, these also aren't them giving the Fifth Amendment in front of C-SPAN cameras where there are members of the party on both sides that are trying to make a show of it and preach at the witness. This is a transcribed interview. This isn't even a subpoena at this point. So they are given a lot of leverage, but it's obstructing, not in a criminal sense, but hindering the oversight of this committee of trying to get to the bottom of what happened, because it was on full display for the entire American people how poorly run and how political this special counsel investigations were.